Hello everyone and welcome into Coach Craig's Sports. This is the NBA DFS Core Pick video for today, Friday, January 26th. If you're joining me for the very first time, first of all, welcome in. Second of all, this is how today's video will be structured. We'll be going over a recap of yesterday's picks, seeing how they ultimately ended up turning out. Then we'll go over to RotoWire, talk through the injuries in play for today's 7-game main slate on both sites. There's 8 games in total for the NBA, but the last game is like an hour and a half after the rest of the game, so it is cut off on both DraftKings and FanDuel for today. And then after that, we'll move over to both DraftKings and FanDuel and talk through my core picks for today. So it's going to be one player to each position. So point guard, shooting guard, small forward, power forward, and center. But without further ado, we'll get started with a recap of yesterday's picks. So on the DraftKings side, we went with Colin Sexton at the point guard position, $6,600, looking for 33 points on. He got to 25.25. He unfortunately was a mess yesterday. He only ended up playing 17 minutes in this game, so they went with that second unit a little bit more with Jordan Clarkson and Keontae George for whatever reason. And Sexton was not out there on the court at the same time as them. I could not find any news, like if he actually got injured or anything in this game, but you know, if he plays like that extra 10 minutes that he normally gets, would have cleared this price tag pretty easily. Then at shooting guard, we had Alex Caruso, $5,100, looking for 26 points out. He got to 39.5, so he was a really good hit on yesterday's slate. Then at small forward, we had OG Anunoby, looking for 29 points out. At $5,700, got to 43, so he was a really good hit as well. Then at power forward, we had Patrick Williams, $4,500, was looking for 23 points out, got to 19.5. Unfortunately, it was a miss. 24 minutes played in this game, 2 for 9 shooting, and did get into some pretty good foul trouble as well. So it was an unfortunate game for him overall. You know, if he plays more minutes, obviously would have paid off at his price tag. And then last but not least, we had Nikola Jokic at $11,300, looking for 57 points out. He got to 48.25. He was a miss. Played 27 minutes in this game. Actually played pretty well in those minutes, but he did get hurt. He got poked in the eye, and then he fell down pretty hard too as well. So I believe he left the game after that, and then the game was a massive blowout at the same time as well. If he plays that 9 extra minutes that we would typically get out of him, it would have been a really good play overall. So a little bit of hit or miss day on the DraftKings side. Of some bad luck there with Colin Sexton only playing 17 minutes, Patrick Williams only playing 24 minutes, and then obviously Nikola Jokic getting injured in that game as well. So it definitely wasn't the greatest day overall, but at the same time, if you had some solid other picks, you probably still had a decent chance of cashing just in general. And then on the FanDuel side, we had Andrew Nembhard at that point guard position, $5,100, looking for 26 points out, got to 33.4. So he was a really good hit, one of his better days on the season so far. There was kind of like some misleading reports out there that McConnell was starting. At least that's what RotoWire reported initially. Then it was kind of back and forth between a couple different sites. You know, if McConnell was the starter, I did like him. But I quickly deleted that once we found out that it was confirmed that Nembhard was the starter between multiple sites. So he was a really good play for us overall, obviously. And then at shooting guard, we went with Alex Caruso, $6,000, looking for 30 points down. He got to 40.8, so he was a really good hit once again. Then at small forward, we had Jonathan Kuminga, $6,100, was looking for 31 out of him, got to 43.1, so he was a really good hit as well. And then at power forward, we had Lauri Markkanen, $8,400, looking for 42 points out, got to 50.9, so he was a really good hit as well. And then last but not least, we had Domantas Sabonis at $10,200, was looking for 51 points out, only got to 47.1, so technically he was a miss. Not anybody that completely killed our lineups, but just kind of a less than stellar day for him. Harrison Barnes actually had quite the revenge game against the Golden State Warriors. He dropped 39 real life points, which probably affected Domantas Sabonis just a little bit. If you know, when one of your teammates is going off like that, it's a little bit more difficult for you to score, even if you are the star player on your team between him and De'Aaron Fox. But with that being said, FanDuel overall was pretty good. As long as you had some other decent plays, you had a really easy chance of cashing on yesterday's slate. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to RotoWire and talk about those injuries in play for tonight's main slate. So once again, it is a 7-game main slate. There's going to be quite a few injuries to look at for today overall, so that could affect some of our values as the day moves along. So when I'm going through the core picks, just keep that in mind that a lot of things are subject to change at this point in time. But we'll start off with the Dallas Mavericks. Dwight Powell is out once again. Kyrie Irving listed as questionable to play. He's dealing with a thumb sprain. I kind of assume that he's probably going to be out once again tonight, so bump up in value for guys like Tim Hardaway Jr. And then we got Maxi Kleber listed as probable to play tonight with his toe injury kind of bugging him once again, but should be able to go out there. Obviously, if for whatever reason it starts bugging him a little bit more as the day moves along, they might have to dust off Rashawn Holmes or Markieff Morris in that situation, or play some small ball 5 with like Grant Williams or Derrick Jones Jr. in the minutes that Derek Lively is not out there for tonight's game overall, but that's kind of a big hypothetical situation just in general. Then for the Atlanta Hawks, we got Gaye, Hunter, and Krevich all out once again. And then the 4 following players are all listed as questionable for tonight's game. Clint Capella and Trae Young are going to be the 2 biggest ones. Trae Young coming off that concussion. And then Clint Capella is dealing with like a calf contusion, I believe they're calling it at this point in time, which I think is something that he missed earlier this year with. So wouldn't be surprised if he misses. Obviously, Trae Young being upgraded to questionable is a positive sign, but we'll see whether or not he ultimately ends up playing tonight or not. And then two less than role players, Bruno Fernando, Wesley Matthews, both listed as questionable as well. They both did miss their most recent game, and Wesley Matthews has been out for quite some time. Then we move over to the Phoenix Suns. Bol and Damon Lee both out once again. Eric Gordon listed as questionable play tonight. I believe he's dealing with a wrist injury, has missed their last couple of games. And then on the Pacers side, they are the one lone team on the back-to-back. We already know that Tyrese Halliburton is out once again for tonight's game, but we'll see if anybody else pops up on their injury report as the day moves along. Then we move over to the Houston Rockets. Tari Eason, Victor Oladipo both out once again. Jayshawn Tate and Reggie Bullock both listed as questionable play tonight. So there's not too much else new here. Keep an eye on Jabari Smith Jr. He wasn't on the injury report for their last game, but did ultimately end up going from questionable to ruled out in that game. So keep an eye on that as the day moves along. And then for the Charlotte Hornets, we got Gordon Hayward, Kyle Lowry, and Mark Williams all listed as out once again. So pretty much what we've seen out of them in their most recent game. Then we move down to the Clippers, who have both Diabate and Zubac out once again. So exactly what we've seen out of them in recent games. For the Toronto Raptors, Jakob Poeltl remains out. Emmanuel Quickley is the newest one here. So him being out, we're probably going to see Dennis Schroeder re-enter that starting lineup. Maybe it's Bruce Brown Jr. So somebody's going to be a little bit more valuable today just in general. And then they got, I believe it's Marquise Noel. This is out, who must have recently joined the team. For the Oklahoma City Thunder, it's Olivier Sarr out once again, so no real changes there. Not a big part of the rotation either way. And then for the Pelicans, Matt Ryan is listed as questionable for tonight's game. He's been out for like the last 2 months, so we'll see whether or not he ultimately ends up playing. And then even at that point in time, if he would even be in the rotation. Then we move down to Cleveland Cavaliers, who are without Darius Garland, Ty Jerome, Evan Mobley, and Tristan Thompson, so no changes there whatsoever. For the Milwaukee Bucks, it's just Giannis. This is probable to play once again with his shoulder injury, so no real concerns there. For the Orlando Magic, Gary Harris is out, and that's really their only injury that they have at this point in time. We did see Franz Wagner return recently, so they are looking pretty healthy at this point in time. It will be really interesting to see what this team looks like at full strength and the rotations that they start running. And then for the Memphis Grizzlies, we got a slew of injuries once again. Desmond Bane, Brandon Clark, Jake LaRavia, Derrick Rose, and Marcus Smart all out once again. Santi Aldama, who did miss their most recent game, is listed as questionable to play for tonight's game, so we'll see whether or not he's good to go or not. And then obviously Luke Kennard did miss their most recent game, so we'll just keep an eye on him as the day moves along just to make sure he doesn't pop up on that injury report as the day progresses. And then for the final game of the night, this is the one that is not on the DFS main slate. It's Portland Trailblazers, San Antonio Spurs. For the Trailblazers, Moses Brown, Shane Sharp, both out once again. And then Malcolm Brogdon's listed as questionable for tonight's game with a knee injury. And then for the San Antonio Spurs, we got Sissoko and Trey Jones, both listed as questionable. Once again, Trey Jones, kind of the biggest impact player there. He did miss their most recent game, and we did see Blake Wesley start in his absence in that game overall. But with that being said, that's a quick little rundown on all the injuries in play for tonight's slate overall. As always, I'll be posting all the injury updates as they do come out throughout the day, as well as the starting lineups as they do get announced throughout the night. So definitely make sure you're checking up as we do get closer to lock, so you have all the most up-to-date information as possible. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to DraftKings and talk about my core picks over there. So on the DraftKings side, we're going to start off at the point guard position with DeJounte Murray's $8,600. This hinges very much on whether or not Trae Young ultimately does end up playing tonight or not. If Trae Young plays, this will pivot to a different player as the day moves along. And just kind of as you're looking throughout this core, if you want to pay down at this point guard spot, you can definitely do that as well. But with DeJounte Murray here, going against Dallas Mavericks, a little bit of a slower pace matchup, but, Atlanta does play pretty quick just in general. So do like him once again tonight. If there is no Trae Young, I like the upside that he does present. Currently haven't projected for 46 points, but definitely has some upside for more at the same time as well. Then we're going to move down to shooting guard with Brandon Miller for the Charlotte Hornets, $6,300, looking for 32 points out of him. He's outperformed that price tag the 4 most recent games. He's taken on a bigger role for this team. There is no Terry Rozier once again, so I definitely do like him. It's a little bit tougher matchup tonight against the Houston Rockets, who have been playing at a little bit slower pace, pretty good defensively, so we'll see whether or not that kind of is the linchpin in him tonight or not, but I definitely do like the upside that he could present. Currently haven't projected for 35 points tonight, and definitely has a little bit upside for more. There is that downside for less, but definitely do like him overall at this price tag. And then at 4, we're going back to Chris Middleton once again today. Pretty good against Cleveland in their last matchup. The matchup before that was not good whatsoever, but $6,300. You're looking for 31, 32 points on, averaging 30 so far on the season. Currently, I'm projected for 35. He had over 40 this most recent game versus Cleveland as well, so I definitely do like the upside that he does present at a pretty reasonable price tag overall today. Then at power 4, we're going to go with Pascal Siakam, $7,500. We're looking for 37, 38 points on. He's averaging 39 so far in the season. Obviously, a lot of those games have not been with the Indiana Pacers, but with no Tyrese Haliburton out there, he is by far their best player, so they're going to run a little bit more of this offense through him. It's an interesting matchup between him and Kevin Durant. Durant, as great of a player as he is, he could be a very good defender, but he's not going to waste as much of his energy on defense, especially at his age and, the injuries that he's had in recent years. So definitely do like Pascal Siakam tonight at the $7,500 price tag. Currently, I'm projected for 41, 42 points, which makes him look like one of the better fantasy point per dollar guys overall on tonight's slate. And then at center, we're going to go with Onyeka Okongwu. He's $4,600. Clint Capella may or may not play. If Capella's out tonight, he looks like the ultimate chalk play at $4,600. You're looking for 23 points on him. He's averaging 22.5 so far in the season. And it's a great matchup versus the Dallas Mavericks, who have kind of struggled versus that center position so far this season. So I like the upside that he presents overall. Currently having projected for 29, 30 points tonight. He has been outpacing Clint Capella in terms of minutes as of late too as well. So even if Capella plays, he might be an interesting kind of pay down option. But if Clint Capella's out, once again, he's going to be the ultimate chalk play and the ultimate cash option tonight overall. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that I do have listed here, you have $16,700 remaining. Just under $5,600 per player. So it looks a little bit more like a balanced build type of day at this point in time. But like I said, if you want to pay down at that point guard spot, you could definitely do that and then free up some salary to pay out for a different player elsewhere. But also keep in mind, there are a lot of moving pieces for today's slate overall. There are some other potential values that could open up throughout the day and change our core picks and kind of the structure of this slate overall. But with that being said, we'll get moved over to FanDuel and talk about my core plays over there as well. So at the point guard position, we have Andrew Nembhard here. Once again, $5,100, exact same price tag as yesterday. It's a matchup against Phoenix. It's kind of middle of the road. If he goes out there, if he plays 27, 28 minutes, he plays similar to what he did yesterday, we'd be really happy. But, if he kind of plays like he normally does or slightly above what he normally does, that's where we'd be a little bit more interested. That's kind of where I got him projected for. You're looking for 25, 26 points on. Currently, I'm projected for 26 tonight, but, we did see that upside as recently as last night's game. Then we move down to shooting guard Tim Hardaway Jr., $6,200, looking for 31 out of him. He's averaging 25.5 so far in the season. But kind of the big piece here, is whether or not Kyrie Irving plays. If he doesn't play, should be more opportunities for Tim Hardaway Jr. just in general. And then with that being said, it's a really great matchup against the Atlanta Hawks, who play at a fast pace. They don't play a lot of defense at this point in time, so definitely do like the upside that he could present overall. Currently, modestly have him projected for a median projection of 32 points. But, if he goes out there, he's knocking down that 3 ball, he's going to look like a really good play overall and has some strong GPP type of upside for tonight's slate overall. Then at small forward, we're going to go with RJ Barrett, $7,400. Been playing really well with this Raptors team. You're looking for 37 out of him. Currently, I'm projected for 38, 39 tonight. There is no Emmanuel Quickly, so a little bit more usage to go around just in general. Could have a little bit of a positive effect on RJ Barrett. So definitely do like him tonight. A little bit tougher matchup against the Clippers. Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, probably going to be on him one of the two more times than not. Those are, star players that are pretty good defensively. They're getting up there in age, so they're not as good as they once were. They might be overlooking this game just a little bit too as well. So definitely do like RJ Barrett just in general. Then at power forward, we're going with Pascal Siakam once again, $7,700. Looking for 38, 39 points out. Pretty similar story to what I said on DraftKings. Do like him tonight. It's an interesting matchup versus Kevin Durant, but it's not one that I'm afraid of for Pascal Siakam. There's no Tyrese Haliburton, so he's by far their best player, even if he's getting acquainted with his teammates still at this point in time. But do currently have him projected for about 41, 42 points once again on the FanDuel side tonight. And then at center, we're kind of mixing it up. This is a paydown option in Larry Nance tonight, $5,000, going against Oklahoma City Thunder. This is kind of, more of a GPP play. Don't play him in cash. I don't think it's going to work out more times than not in cash. But for your GPP tournaments today, Larry Nance is going to be a very interesting option at $5,000. This is a matchup versus Oklahoma City, which had Holmgren, that is probably not going to be very favorable to Jonas Valanciunas unless he's out there and he's really wearing Chet Holmgren down to start the game. Because, Holmgren's that bigger, skinnier guy, a little bit more athletic. That's typically the type of center that Jonas Valanciunas struggles a little bit more against. So those guys, the pick and roll, the pick and pops, all that makes a lot more sense to have Larry Nance in the game. If he goes out there, he plays 26 minutes tonight, he's going to look pretty good overall. And with that being said, currently I'm projected for about 26, 27 points tonight. It's a minutes upside type of play. He's just kind of a guy that could work his way into a favorable matchup just based on their opponent for tonight overall. So definitely do like the upside that he does present overall. Definitely comes with a significant amount of downside at the same time as well, though. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that I do have listed here on the FanDuel side, you have $28,600 remaining. Just over $7,100 per player. So a decent amount of money left over. It kind of looks a little bit like a balanced boat type of day, but if you want to pay up for a star player, you could still definitely do it on the FanDuel side and then kind of pay down at a couple other spots from there. Obviously, we'll see what other type of value does pop up as the day moves along, though. But with that being said, these are my core picks for both FanDuel and DraftKings for today, January 26th. As always, if you have any questions related to NBA DFS, be sure to leave them down in the comments, and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. And then with that being said, I also do ask that you please note whether those questions are more FanDuel or DraftKings specific, just so I can best help you as quickly and efficiently as possible. And then as always, I'll be listing all the injury updates as they do come out throughout the day, as well as the starting lineups as they do get announced throughout the night. And then as always, my updated core will be out about 15 to 20 minutes prior to lock. Might be a little bit sooner than that on tonight's slate overall. Obviously, a lot does depend on the injury news that we do get throughout the day. But with that being said, that will be left as a pinned comment. If there's any other additional changes after that point in time, I will leave them as a reply to the pinned comment as well. But with that being said, if you're brand new to my channel, checking out for the very first time, or have yet to subscribe, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports, which is one that's truly for you, the viewers, helping you with your DFS. Right now, we just have NBA DFS in terms of the core pick videos Monday through Friday. And then last but not least, if you're interested in sports betting, if you're interested in prop betting, be sure to check out the links and promo codes down in the description below for Prize Picks, Parlay Play, and BetUS. If you are a brand new user to any one of those 3 sites, when you sign up, you make your initial deposit, you will get a first match deposit bonus. On Prize Picks and Parlay Play, it's 100% match up to $100. For BetUS, it's 125% match up to $2,500. So some pretty great opportunities to be had out there. And then with that being said, if you have any other additional questions related to sports betting or prop betting just in general, feel free to reach out to me, whether it's down in the comments or on Twitter at Coach Craig Sport, and be more than happy to help you with that journey as well. But with that being said, that's all that I truly have for today's video. Definitely do appreciate each and every one of you tuning in. Definitely means a lot to me. I hope that each and every one of you have a great rest of your day and some pretty good luck in NBA DFS tonight.